Oops, where did that go? Good afternoon, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Good to see you all. For the record, my name is Liz Braden. I'm the City Councillor for District 9, and I am the Chair of the City Council Committee on Strong Women, Families and Communities. I am joined today by my colleagues. Let's see who else here. No one else here at the moment. I will announce my colleagues as they arrive. And this public hearing is being recorded and live streamed at boston.gov City Council TV and will be rebroadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, Verizon Fios Channel 962. We will take public testimony at the end of this hearing. If you wish to testify via video conference, please email shane.pac@boston.gov to sign up. When you will be called, please state your name and affiliation or residence and limit your comments to no more than 2 minutes to ensure that all comments can be heard. You may also submit written testimony by emailing ccc.swfc@boston.gov. Today's hearing is on a series of dockets. The first is docket number 0825, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amount of $672,685.60 in the form of a grant for the financial year 22 Youth Works awarded by the Massachusetts Executive Office of Labour and Workforce Development, passed through the Economic Development and Industrial Corporation of Boston, to be administered by the Youth Engagement and Employment. The grant will fund the summer 2021 Success Link Employment Program. Docket number 0826, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amount of $476,066 in the form of a grant for nutritional services for Boston elders awarded by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, passed through the Massachusetts Executive Office of Elder Affairs to be administered by the Age Strong Commission. The grant will fund the financial year 21 Title 111C supplemental. Docket number 1011, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amount of $1,768,378.56 in the form of a grant for the financial year 2022 State Elder Lunch Program awarded by the Massachusetts Office of Elder Affairs to be administered by the Age Strong Commission. The grant will fund nutritional services for up to 284,394 older adults in the City of Boston at $6.24 per meal. Those are the dockets that we'll be reviewing this afternoon. I think we should just start at the top and deal with docket number 0826, which is the Youth Works grant. So I think, is it Rashad, are you speaking to that issue, or anyone from your team? So Rashad, can you hear me?
Is it 826 or 825? Councillor, yes. 826 is the Age Strong Commissions.
Okay, well, 0825, the docket that is for Youth Works. We'll start that one. That wasn't the first on my list, so we'll start there.
Great. Yes, I can hear you now. I think my connection was going in and out.
So,
Great.
Michelle, would you like to tell us a little about this grant and how this applied to the summer of 2021 Success Link employment program? So, a little background on how that money was spent, or would be helpful for everyone.
Absolutely. So, good afternoon, Council. Greeting. I'll go ahead and just jump into just an overview of the YouthWorks grant here within our department. Thank you for having our office here today. I'm actually joined by Milena Saha, who is the Career Development Coordinator for our office. Milena helped manage the implementation of this YouthWorks funding this year. What I'll aim to do is just to provide a very high-level understanding of the YouthWorks program, and then Milena will be available to answer any questions specific to the implementation of the program here in Boston. We have provided an overview of the YouthWorks grant for 2021, which I believe you should have. Council reading. It's just maybe like a 2-page document.
Yes.
Please note that this grant is a reimbursement grant, as the program and services for which this funding is intended has already been provided. So that's an important note as well. So I'll just jump right in. The city of Boston has been receiving pretty much YouthWorks state funding for over 10 plus years to ensure youth jobs and opportunities are provided to proven risk youth, to ensure there's equity in the young people across Boston who have access to our summer jobs program. YouthWorks is a subsidized youth employment program that is administered by the Massachusetts Commonwealth Corporation, and it is really designed to provide low-income teens and young adults between the ages of 14 to 21 years of age with their first employment experiences, work readiness training, and the skills to find and keep an unsubsidized job. Here in Boston, the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development, they administer a portion of the YouthWorks grant across the state and distributes this funding here in Boston across 4 Boston summer job providers, that is ABCD, Boston Private Industry Council, our Department of Youth Engagement and Employment, and Youth Options Unlimited. Specifically here within our office, we incorporate this funding as a part of our 4,000 youth jobs that's offered through the Mayor's Success Link Youth Jobs Program. This funding is used to ensure that these disadvantaged youth, vulnerable youth, youth with identified risk barriers have access to employment opportunity. This year, we had a pretty successful YouthWorks summer. The total funding allocated to this program is roughly around $672,000, of which 93% went directly towards personnel costs, largely youth wages and career coaches as well. And then the remaining roughly about 7% was used for non-personnel, programmatic, and operational costs. Through this funding, we provided opportunities to 372 eligible youth. We consider eligible youth as youth who self-identified as YouthWorks participants through the completion of a YouthWorks data form that was provided as a part of their onboarding hiring process this summer. Of that 372 eligible youth, 250 of those youth were considered completers, and completers meant those young people fulfilled 15 hours of the mandated Signal Success curriculum, which is the work readiness curriculum required by YouthWorks. And they worked at least 110 or so hours throughout the duration of the summer. In addition to that, young people, specifically with the YouthWorks program, were employed across 25 of our nonprofit community-based organizations and city agencies. Some of those organizations consisted of ACEDONE, the Learn and Earn program, which was managed by Office of Workforce Development, SOA Boston, which is under BCYF. Boston Police Department had a few different programs through the Community Engagement Bureau, BAHEC, which is through Boston Public Health Commission, and then the Calculus Project, Young People's Project, Becoming a Man, Zoo New England, and so forth and so on. Those are just a handful of the organizations that were considered participants for the program this summer. Some of the highlights, Council Breeden, and others for the YouthWorks program this summer were really just centered around, first, the tiers. So YouthWorks and Commonwealth Corporation, for the second straight summer, they use a 3-tier model when administering YouthWorks funding. Tier 1 was starting off strong. Tier 2 was building a professional self, and Tier 3 was crafting a career path. Our department participated in Tier 2 and Tier 3, which is building a professional self, which is based on early and career trajectory employment for young people. And then creating a career path is based on career pathway training and support. With Tier 2, YouthWorks participants and partners participated in weekly live Signal Success sessions with instructors. We had some lunch and learn sessions where participants were able to virtually learn about different career paths. With Tier 3, YouthWorks participants from Boston Day and Evening Academy and the Learn and Earn internship completed online modules and projects based on their interests. Examples of that was oral histories of COVID-19 in their community, developing a social media strategy for small businesses or nonprofits, and mastering the medium of podcasting, just to name a few. The Signal Success training, again, which is 15 hours, that's mandated for each YouthWorks participant. It offered work readiness training, and young people participated in workshops around expanding initiative, professionalism and evaluation, communication and collaboration, working around their occupational goals, and also just learning how to be self-advocates and advocating for themselves. There was some data collection that also helped inform the success of the program through post surveys. It helped measure young people's skill around their ability to take initiative, dependability, communication, learning, and understanding what collaboration means. And then there was tons of other supplemental youth development training that Milena and the incredible team that she actually coordinated and managed was able to provide to young people. We have had a standing partnership with One Love Foundation, which helps young people learn about healthy relationships, which is critical for the population that we serve. We have, I think for the third or so year, we have partnered with John Hancock and MLK Scholars to provide young people with access to their Everfi curriculum, which is focused on financial literacy, where young people learned about savings, credit cards, paying for college, and more. And then for the first time this year, we partnered with NIFTY, which is the Network for Teaching and Entrepreneurship, which was an incredible initiative to really help young people understand what entrepreneurship means and understand more about just, owning and developing their own business. So that's just a high level overview of the YouthWorks program. Again, Milena is here to answer just any specific questions that folks may have specific to, just the implementation of the program.
No, thank you, Rashad. I really appreciate your overview, and I was reading along with your notes that you sent earlier. And thank you for their work, because this was the second summer that we had COVID, and I'd be curious to know how the program went this year compared to last year, with slightly more freedom with regard to group work and whatever. Was it all mostly virtual or in hybrid or in person? How did it work out with COVID this year?
If we can ask Milena, do you want to jump in on that question?
Yes, sure. So this year we did mostly virtual. There was a handful of sites, the Zoo New England, one of them, where we were able to deliver Signal Success in person. But other than that, everything was delivered virtually. All of the offerings from ComCore, as far as Signal Success, the Lunch and Learns and the career chats, everything was done virtually.
Good. And I also noticed from your numbers, your eligible youth and your completers and your 122 participants, those folks who didn't fulfill the whole requirement, did you get any metrics on what barriers they might have been experiencing that got in the way of them completing the program, or was that just a natural fall off rate that you would see in any year?
That is pretty typical within a year. There's a number of reasons why a young person might not be a completer. It could be of when they were hired. They could have been hired late, so they didn't reach that number of hours they have to have, which is about 112 to be a completer. Some youth just go on vacation, so they don't get the actual Signal Success or be able to fill the requirements that way. And then there's other youth that there's online modules that they have to do that are self-paced, and so some youth just opt out of doing them, no matter how much incentive that we try to give. So it is pretty in line with what we see every year as far as people who are completers and participants.
Okay, very good. So looking forward to next summer, did you any lessons learned from this past year that you can hopefully we'll be able to get this grant again next time? Any lessons learned that you can apply going forward?
I think, as always, we try to plan as early as possible. So communicating with our partners even earlier in the next years to help them organize and figure out how YouthWorks is going to fit into their programming they're already planning.
Okay. And then one problem that we discussed maybe during budget season was the onboarding challenges of a large number of young people coming in to onboard into the payroll system, etc. Did we able to streamline that any better this year?
It was more streamlined this year. We worked a lot more closely with our employment team who handles all of the payroll and onboarding, so they were aware of which partners we were planning to use for YouthWorks partners this summer, and we're able to prioritize those partners and youth who are being hired at those sites to get them onboarded faster. And in addition to that, our You Hire Youth event, we made all of our employees aware of our YouthWorks sites too, and we're trying to place young people at those sites specifically as a priority. Very
good. Excellent. Well, this is very good. We will, since this is reimbursement from monies that have already been spent on a very worthwhile program, we would be recommend that this would be accept and that this docket will pass. We'll recommend that it passes at our next, not this week, but in the near future.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that said, if you folks need to go on, I think the next two dockets pertain to youth age strong, the other end of the life cycle. So I will thank you so much for coming, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Breeden.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so that brings us on to dockets number 0826, the $476,666 for nutrition services for Boston elders. And then the other dockets, I think we'll take them both together. Commissioner Shea, is that okay? Docket 1011, in order to accept and expend $1,768,376.56. I always laugh when you get millions of dollars and then you get 56 cents stuck onto the end of it. It's enough to go for half a cup of coffee.
Right.
So yes, Commissioner Shea, thank you so much for coming in. Would you like to tell us a little about these two grants and how the money will be spent and or has been spent already? One of them is 21. So yes.
Yeah, I don't think either has been spent yet. But thank you so much, Chair Braden. We're very excited to be here again and talking about this. You heard a little bit about these funds last week, so I will keep it relatively brief and then happy to answer any questions that you have. So these are two additional sources of funding for our the Elder Nutrition Program. So the Elder Nutrition Program has a number of pieces of funding that come through our office that come to us both from the federal government and from the state. This is from Docket. Let me just see which one. Sorry.
The
826. Oh, Docket 1011. The state elder lunch is from a state line item. So it's part of a state line item that helps to support the elder nutrition program that comes to us. We put it together with the federal Title III dollars that we receive and something called NSIP, which will be coming through this committee at another point in time. We put all these pieces together and then we RFP them out, and the vendors that currently work with us for the Elder Nutrition Program for this portion of its funding are Ethos and the Chinese Golden Age Center. I will just say, so that there's kind of a complete picture, the funds that come through us are a piece of this program. There are then additional funding streams that come into both Ethos and Chinese Golden Age, not through us, to make one big program in Boston. So something this complex can only have many, many funding streams. And then the other one, the Docket 826, that's just some extra money that came our way for this program. That's why it says supplemental on it. We were excited to see that last year, surprised and excited that there was extra money that was coming from the federal government through the state to us for the Elder Nutrition Program. I want to make one edit. I think what you read and probably what we wrote up said that 1011 would fund nutrition services for up to 283,394 older adults. It's actually 283,394 meals.
Yes.
Meals. So I just want to make that change. The funding, that all the pieces of the funding together that we RFP out supports about 2,700 older adults in the city of Boston. And then there are more people supported through the other funding streams that the program gets. This program is exciting because it's not just meals, it's delivery of meals. It's also nutrition assessment, which is really important so that we can make sure people are getting the right things. Nutrition counseling also equally is important, and nutrition education. So they go out into the community and teach some nutrition education classes as well. So it's part of a whole package. Happy to take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's a very comprehensive review of the program, and I know it's vitally important for our elders to get adequate nutrition. The one question I had is, if we have a diverse community in Boston, do we have culturally appropriate meals for folks of different religious faith that maybe have dietary requirements, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, so there are, Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, about 9 or 10 different food types. And so in terms of religious faiths, there is a kosher meal that people can access if they keep kosher. I know that we also tried to, this year there was another type of meal, right, Melissa? Was there?
This year we tried to have halal meals.
Halal
Yeah.
Meals.
and ran into some issues with the pandemic and the caterer being able to stay up and running because we can't provide the full source of their income.
So there is a vegetarian meal that people can access, and that I think a lot of the people who a lot of the folks who maybe would have had halal meals are will eat the vegetarian meal. We would love to get another halal another caterer up and running. I think we talked in the last when we were talking about the ARPA funds, Ethos will be going out to bid for the meals portion, for the meals and delivery portion of this, I think in the spring. And there are some challenges around caterers and these meals. So there are very specific requirements that the state and the feds have in place for kitchens, and also for what the pieces that need to make up this meal, and like how much sodium there can be. And so it's not just every kitchen that can do these meals. And so we want to get a meeting together where interested caterers could get on, could learn more about this program, could learn what the requirements would be for both the meals and for the kitchens, ahead of the bidding period, so that if they're interested, they can kind of do whatever prep work might be necessary to put in a good bid when Ethos goes out to bid for meals. The Chinese Golden Age Center, on the other hand, does not go out to bid for meals because they have their own kitchen, so they actually cook the meals themselves.
Yes.
But Ethos will go out to bid.
Yeah, that sounds good. Is there anything else that we should know? But you've covered it pretty comprehensively, and we had a discussion about food for elders last week as well. So we've been talking a lot about food for elders this last couple of weeks. We have, and unfortunately we have a couple. We'll probably be before you again talking about a couple more pieces of it. But no, I think you. Francis is back on. He was having some technical challenges. But I just want to say, Counselor, it's been wonderful to work with you, and I'm so lucky to have Melissa and Francis on my team here. You can see I turn to them for all the detailed questions, because they know these programs like inside and out, and spend so much time working with them and with our partners. And just to thank our partners publicly here as well, because it's in partnership that we do this work, and we can't do it alone. So I think that's about it. So just another point, do folks get meals delivered to their homes, but also sometimes they have meals at senior centres or BCYF centres or other places? Like I know the Chinese Golden Age has centres as well. Yeah. So they're delivered to different places? Exactly. So there's a Meals on Wheels portion of the funds. And then this money also helps to support congregate meal sites. That's what the Older Americans Act calls them. I think Ethos calls them community cafes. And Chinese Golden Age runs 3 of them. Ethos runs 43 of them-ish. And they're starting to get back up and running. They've been doing grab and go meals primarily. And I think there's a couple of sites that you can get a grab and go and kind of eat in person, where they're kind of taking it slow in terms of COVID precautions. But the nice thing about these meals typically is that you could kind of sit, eat with friends, and then a lot of those sites also back that with different activities and something else to do, maybe a speaker or an exercise class or a health class or something else. So it is a way that people can both tackle, I think, food insecurity as well as social isolation, which is nice. And then I will say on the Meals on Wheels piece, oftentimes the meals driver might be the only person to really see the person they're delivering a meal to every day. And so there's a huge social piece to that program as well. We call it More Than a Meal, right, Melissa? Yes.
That's what the state calls it, because it's such an important program, both for the meal, but also just even more so for just getting eyes on someone, checking in with someone, making sure that there's nothing else that's needed.
Yeah. And very often that visit and that eyes on someone tells you a whole lot more. I have a background in healthcare, so it's like those home visits, you find out a lot about the general well-being of a person by how things are looking and feeling at home. So
It's amazing what you can find with a home visit.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. And I think during COVID, people really appreciated that human contact, because so many of our elders were isolated for a long time, and it was very difficult for them.
Yeah, it was hard during COVID. Our Meals on Wheels drivers did a kind of a contactless delivery, right? So they would knock on the door, make sure they heard somebody, step back, and have the person come and get the meal. But you're right that just even having that kind of connection, even in a safe way, was important.
Yeah. Good. Well, I don't have any other questions, and I don't see any. I'm just going to check if anyone else has been able to join us this afternoon. It doesn't look like anyone else is here from my colleagues, so I will be recommend that we accept and expend these 2 grants. And thank you all for your great work, and don't hesitate to be in touch if there's anything I can do.
Wonderful. Well, we'll be back with lots more grants. So
all right.
See you soon.
Very good.
Thank you, Counselor. Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Be well now. So that draws this hearing to a close. I now move to adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.